Here's the plan. I like Ben 10, and I like the immersion of VR. But when you combine the both, it becomes harder to find. But wait, I'm a developer. I'm just gonna do it myself, and hopefully I'll have a thing by the end of this video. Now, I have never developed anything for VR before, so I need to know what I'm diving myself into. A quick YouTube search won't hurt. Okay, I might have a good grasp of how this works. The script more or less needs to find the position and orientation of the head and the hands. This is called a C-frame or coordinate frame. After getting this information, then we need to insert it into the parts we have. Luckily, there's two great tutorials by Epic Game Wii 59 and Half Havoc. Using some of the knowledge I've learned, I managed to make something simple. Wait, that's not meant to happen. There we go. Although, there was some bugs that I had to solve by myself, such as the head not following the camera. Alright, it's fine. Let's forget about the head for now and move on to the hands. But to do that, we first need hand models with the Omnitrix. For this example, I'm going to be making the most popular and well-known Omnitrix, the original prototype. So after making the hands, I had to give it the Omnitrix. Now I could easily just use one of the many Omnitrix models I've made from the past 5 years, or even make a new one, but instead I found this green model on Sketchfab by Zinfinite0. After putting it into Blender, I noticed that it's not really quite optimized for a Roblox mesh. So I took time to clean it up and adjust a few things, and after 2 hours, we have a model. Now all I have to do is name every individual part, rig the entire model, set it in the player model, make a quick test animation, script it in, and voila, it works. It's not quite the results that I wanted, but it's the results that I got, and I can't complain. But this is only scratching the top of the iceberg. Ben Tennyson is able to turn into 60 plus different aliens, but only 22 were unlocked in the prototype Omnitrix. So let's do something simple. For this video, I'm going to be picking Heat Blast, Diamond Head, and Accelerate. But before I start messing around with these just yet, we need a way to even transform into them. For starters, the Omnitrix turns on by pressing the button on the front. This could be easily achievable by detecting a touch between the end of the index finger and the Omnitrix button. Once that is done, the Omnitrix will activate. Easy. Next up is the hard part. Ben is able to shuffle between his alien playlist by twisting the dial, either left or right. But in VR, you're dealing with controllers. Achieving this becomes harder in VR and gaming in general. Ben 10 games have achieved selecting your transformation in 3 different ways. You have the D-pad, the tree control setup, and the radial menu. Same could be translated into VR easily, but something that grabbed my attention was this video I found by Mr. Fu, where it's shown that the hand snaps onto the Omnitrix dial and actually spins it. Now, I might not be exact on the mechanics, but I believe that the way they pulled this off is by having a separate hand model connected to the Omnitrix itself. This could easily mean that the right controller can be moving freely away from the Omnitrix. They also probably had a separate input for spinning the dial, but this is only a judgment made from one video. Having a separate hand model could work in theory, but it's not greatly effective in the long run. So, how am I gonna do it? My idea is slightly more advanced. The red hand is for the actual model, the blue hand is for the controller that the VR is tracking. And this is an indicator that shows if the hand is holding onto the dial. When you join the game, the hand is always moving to where the quest is tracking the controllers. You'd have to bring your hand close to the dial while it's primed and press on the grip button. The same hand model is going to snap to the new position while your controller can roam freely, but not too free. Once your controller gets too far away from the Omnitrix, it's going to snap back to the controller itself. What? No, my hand! Huh? Now that the dialing is figured out, how am I gonna spin it? Well, that's another hard part. When planning this video, I had the idea of invisible hitboxes. Imagine this as the hand with the Omnitrix from the top-down view, Now imagine that this hand is going to rotate the dial. If we add the invisible hitboxes I was talking about, you can visually see that if I detect a certain point of the hand model intersecting with these hitboxes, I can easily tell if the player is rotating left or right by detecting up and down. But after some thinking, this didn't seem that reliable, so I went back to the drawing board. And then it hit me. My goal is to have a rotating system to the dial. You know what else has rotation? Studio. My new idea is that instead of detecting when the hand twists in a way that would hit an invisible hitbox, I would instead detect for specific rotation that the hand does and correlate that to the rotation movements. This might sound easy to some people out there, but believe me when I say it's easier said than done. I'd rather be doing another button. Okay, so I might have not thought this through all the way. In 3D, there's 3 dimensions: X, Y, and Z. And these are always the same in the world, no matter how much you change them. So if I wanted the trick I mentioned earlier to work, I would need the player to only use the watch in a specific angle and a specific direction, which is not what I want. Instead, I probably have to go back to the first idea I had with the hitboxes, but tweak it ever so slightly. Instead of invisible hitboxes that would detect when the hand touches it, instead I'll have invisible points on the Omnitrix within the radius required before your hand snaps back, and this way I can detect which point is closer to the center of the hand and calculate the next move from there. Great, now that everything is in place, I can finally rest because it's 5 a.m. and I'm tired. I need to continue this tomorrow with a clear head. Alright, let's start finalizing the Omnitrix before moving on to the aliens. We have our priming, rotating, and selecting system in place. Now all that's needed is the actual transformation. Keeping the data for which alien you have selected is the easy part. The hard part comes with figuring out a good system in place for the slamming. Ben in every series is mostly seen slamming the watch, even when advised not to.
Then stop banging so hard on my Omnitrix.
So it's as easy as detecting contact between the hand and the dial, right? Wrong. If you didn't notice before, to rotate the dial, there has to be contact between the dial and the fingers, which would cause the whole system to freak out. We need a failsafe system, an event trigger. We need a way for the player to be able to activate the ability to slam the watch without any unnecessary button presses or complicated scripting. And that's where this hand comes in play. While the grip button for the right hand is used to make a pointer gesture, the one for the left hand creates a fist. This is our event trigger. But wait, I can make it even better. To transform into an alien, you would have to close your left fist and hit the dial fast. Yep, I added a velocity check. Time for the aliens. Sadly, I'm getting very exhausted from this project and I need to have some sort of finalized product by the end of this video, so I'm gonna need to cut corners. I'm not gonna be doing any abilities to the 3 aliens that you can transform into, unless this video blows up. So if you would like to see me continue this project, and maybe even add all 10 aliens at some point, then make sure to support me. Like, subscribe, share, do everything you seem necessary, and if you can't, that's also fine. Watching my videos is a great way to support me too. Make sure to also check out the Discord server and suggest some aliens with abilities too. I might consider it if I ever return to this project. But now, we must go back to the actual video. Luckily, the Roblox Ben 10 fan game, Half Havoc, is working on a big rework, and they already have some sort of Diamond Head, Heat Blast, and Accelerate model I can use. All I need to do is adjust the models a bit, import them, script them in, and let me try again. Good enough. Finally, you can transform into aliens. But you get stuck as the alien, since there's no way of turning back. Ben in the original series had around 10 minutes canonically as an alien, and there was no way for him to turn back unless he had mass control or someone else detransformed him on purpose. In this little VR example, we're gonna break some of those rules. You'll be able to turn back either by waiting a minute or slamming on an Omnitrix badge that would appear under you. And after spending so long on the badge, I present to you There's still some things that I want to figure out how to change at a later date, but this is a very presentable version of what I wanted to do for such a long time. When I got my VR headset, I wanted to do so much. Swing like Spider-Man, fight enemies, fly, and do stuff that aren't possible or easily accessible in real life. And transforming to aliens is one of them. If you have a VR headset that can connect to a computer that can handle VR, I recommend that you check this out. You might like it. Game link will be in the description of the video, and any updates about the project or changelogs will be in the description of the game itself. Yo, I'm Casey, and it's hero time.